As we all know, Donald Trump is rallying in Michigan yesterday. And so the first thing he did is he goes into the Detroit Economic Club, standing behind a podium that says Detroit on it. He starts talking about how terrible Detroit is. Play the clip, Kyles.
I don't think anything that we're talking about today is high on our list. The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands.
I'm not a political strategist. But is it advisable to go into a swing state city and talk about how pathetic the city is? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, I think it is a terrible idea. But what's happened with Trump is he has been able to get away with everything.
Everything.
Everybody makes a carve out and an allowance for him to get away with everything. And it's created this horrible monster. And sadly, a large portion of the American public likes this. They like to think, ooh, if he can get away with it, we can get away with it too. And they also like what a racist, misogynist, lying sack of shit he is. They like the cruelty. But they look for some permission structure. Oh, I just like my tax breaks. It's such bullshit. I mean, just own it. I want all Trump supporters, quit being a secret Trump supporter. Get that flag out. Get that fucking freak flag out and fly it. Fly it as proud as you possibly can. In my yard, I have 2 signs that say Harris, obviously. Let's just everybody be who you are, because it's just insane. It's insane. This would be disqualifying for any other candidate.
There's so many things that would be disqualifying, but I digress. So then, here's the thing. Trump doesn't make sense. He's incoherent, full stop. So then he starts talking about, I really don't know what he's talking about. Something about rockets and Elon, his fucking buddy. And then it just devolves into nobody knows what he's talking about.
Many countries, they do that. And then all of a sudden you hear that they're leaving Milwaukee or they're leaving wherever they may be located. It's very sad to see it. And it's so simple. I mean, this isn't like Elon with his rocket ships that land within 12 inches on the moon where they wanted to land. Or he gets the engines back. That was the first I realized. I said, who the hell did that? I saw engines about 3-4 years ago. These things were coming, cylinders, no wings, no nothing. And they're coming down very slowly, landing on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace with a circle. Boom. Reminded me of the Biden circles that he used to have, right? He'd have 8 circles and he couldn't fill them up. But then I heard he beat us with the popular vote. I don't know. Couldn't fill up the 8 circles. I always loved those circles. They were so beautiful. They were so beautiful to look at. In fact, the person that did them, that was the best thing about the level of that circle was great.
This is what psychiatrists call flight of ideas. It is. This is a mental patient.
Yeah.
He needs to be in an assisted living center. He needs to have care. I mean, this is insane. I cannot believe the polls are this close, and it tells me that America has a massive problem of moral decency. I mean, it is. You have seen a mass exodus of Republicans, officials that are really hard right, that have left the Republican Party because of this insanity. And then you have those people that remain, and there's just a real cruelty to the American public, not everybody, but a large percentage. I mean, I would say probably 40% that like this crap. And they see that and they're so blinded by this idea of we want to own the libs. We want to own the libs, that they cannot say, clearly this man is incompetent, senile, a mental patient, dangerous, shouldn't be in charge of, watching somebody's goldfish.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, could you imagine if a Democratic candidate had a flight of ideas like that?
No, and let's remember Joe Biden was old and the Democrats called him out. Where are the Republicans saying he is not well? He cannot make sense.
I'll tell you where they are. They either left the party or they are such beta males cosplaying as alpha males.
Right.
And there is nothing alpha whatsoever about kissing Donald Trump's ass. That is the most obsequious thing a man could do. Like, you have no backbone. You have no principle. You can't stand up and say, we've got a huge problem here.
Right.
They had the opportunity to impeach him, to put a fork in him. And they didn't do it because if one thing Mitch McConnell's good at, it's fucking everything up for the largest percentage of people that he possibly can. I mean, that man has been an abject failure, and he could have signaled the Senate that second impeachment round and said, we need to be done. We need to turn the page. We need to move on. But that's their baby. And he has ruined, absolutely ruined the Republican Party. And even more than that, it's ruined a lot of the American psyche. I mean, there are people that live among us that freebase Fox News. And then when that's not enough, they grind up and snort, some right-wing podcast where they're just getting disinformation. These people are so dumb pumps. They think that the Democrats are controlling the weather.
Right. I mean, they believe it. I saw yesterday somebody called into a show and said, my father-in-law lost everything in the hurricanes, but he is a Fox News snorting Trump MAGA junkie, and he has nothing. He has lost everything, but he believes that FEMA will take his land if he files a claim that he is entitled to. So people are hurting.
This isn't the first time that Fox News has done this type of disinformation, aiding and abetting. During COVID, many Americans refused to get the vaccine. And I know of a particular woman who my brother knows. And he saw her and he said, are you going to get the vaccine? And she said, no, I wouldn't get that. And when he saw her, she had Fox News playing. And he said, why wouldn't you get the vaccine? Like, it's saving lives. And she goes, I don't know what's in it. Meanwhile, she's sucking on a Mountain Dew. And my brother says to her, well, you don't know what's in that Mountain Dew either, do you? She kind of ha-ha. The next time anybody saw this woman was in the morgue. She died from COVID. Meanwhile, everybody at Fox News was vaccinated.
Absolutely.
They were all vaccinated. Everybody that worked there was vaccinated. It is appalling. It is immoral. It is abhorrent. And you know what these people claim to be? The Christian right. It's just, I mean, let's start calling them out. Call them all out all the time. It is a death cult.
It is a death cult. And here's the deal. January 6th, they had to pay almost $1 billion because of the disinformation they were spreading. And the hosts behind the viewers back are texting what a fucking nut Trump is and how he needs to pull himself together. So, I mean, there's no end to wanting to dupe the Fox viewer. I mean, it is so insulting to the Fox viewer. But anyway, back to the show. So, one thing I just have to bring up is Trump, again, flight of ideas. In Detroit, he starts talking. First of all, I just want everybody, if you're not watching the podcast on YouTube, you can go just Google a picture. Trump is low energy. He looks like he's half asleep. And his makeup is like the worst I've seen it. He's taken the orange shoe out and it's straight. I mean, it could be the darkest spray tan in the history of spray tans, with his little eye cutouts from 1980 where he wears the little bitty,
goggles.
The goggle deals. So, I mean, it's worth just giving it a goog to see how bad the makeup was. But anyway, so just, he spoke for 2 hours and made no sense the entire time. But then he gets obsessed with the word grocery. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does. And I have more complaints about that bacon and things going up double, triple, quadruple.
Okay, so number one, it's proof positive if he's never been to a grocery store. And number two, the stomach's speaking. It always does. Thank you, former president, for that enlightenment on the word grocery and the stomach speaking. We know your stomach spoke later at the other end, at the next place you went, because you farted, sharted, or crapped your diaper. Not sure which.
I wonder, what other countries have allowed a senile, mentally ill man to go grandstand and go on a nationwide tour with this flight of ideas and, just completely lost all control of bodily functions, can't put together a succinct sentence, argument, thought. What other first world country would allow a person to go out and do this day in and day out? It's just, it's unbelievable that this man is still out on this, it's like the insanity tour, and everybody is like, yeah, it's just, when you're not in that bubble and you see it and you see how crazy all the people are, and you have our friends, the good liars, that interview these people and how they, live in this really weird world where they think America is this terrible place, but that Trump is still secretly the president.
Right.
All of this weird shit. And I don't know what the answer to this is, other than, number one, churches need to be taxed and taxed immediately. And number two, on these propaganda news sites, they need to be labeled as such.
I agree. Fox News needs to be Fox Opinion. I mean, it could be Fox propaganda, but I'll settle for just Fox Opinion.
Uh-huh.
I'm not that petty, but it's not news.
But even when we go deeper than that, when people choose that form of entertainment for themselves, they choose every night to watch that. Because, I watch 5-10 minutes here or there. It's just so cruel.
It is cruel.
It is such a cruel news channel where, they talk about alpha males and who's the biggest tough guy on the planet. Well, they have to talk about all the time. They have to talk about alpha males all the time, because all the Republican men kiss the ass of a guy that farts in Detroit while bashing Detroit. That's the most beta thing you could ever imagine. Right. And so, the cruelty, I have said on here for a long time, I think that the American public, the portion of American public that likes this level of cruelty, it's comfortable to them. It's familiar to them, because from the day that they were born, they were told that if they weren't good little boys and good little girls, they were going to go to hell. I have long believed that this type of cruel speak, emotional blackmail to children is abusive, and it sets the psychological soil for now they've all found themselves getting scared and terrified by these Fox News alpha males and internalized misogynists like, Judge Janine or whatever her name is. And they like it because it's comfortable, and they have been raised to be cruel. They have been raised to judge people, demean people, demonize other people. And so I just think that there is a big reckoning that the country has to make with really securing our country as being very, very secular. I mean, it has to be a very secular country, because countries that enmesh religion and politics, as we all know, it's like the Taliban. It doesn't work well, and it's certainly not good for women.
Absolutely not.
All right, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.